episode of The F Word is face to face, and we have with us today Shane Solomon. We'll go easy on him today because he doesn't do podcasts very often, so this is all new to him. Hi, Shane.
Hi, Laura. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for coming. So tell us about your story and networking and how that features, because that's what we're here to talk about today. We know you wear lots of hats and get involved in lots of things, but today it's around building networks and referrals.
Indeed. Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me on. I feel very honoured because your podcast is just absolutely flying. So thank you very, very much. And face-to-face, very apt because I have a face people tell me that only a mother can love. And I'm like, I'm okay with that. I'll take it. It's fine. But my kind of, my journey with all of this networking stuff is, as long as I can remember, ever since I was at school, I just love people, right? I just love talking. It's like natural to me. I love talking. But it wasn't until I got into business after I started singing, because I never really treated my singing as a business. I used to sing when I was 18. I got on stage and did my little thing. Very similar to being a maggot in a holiday park. You know, I was going into these kind of holiday places.
Wow, low blow.
Do you know where I'm coming from here? And so I used to perform, you know, in front of these people and just wiggle on stage and sing a little bit. But I never really spoke to people like businesses. And it was only when I started my first business, which was, it was called LCD Advert. And that's what morphed into the Cornwall channel. And it was like all these screens around local businesses. And I went along to my first business networking event. And I was in front of maybe 30 people and I was so nervous. I was like, what is going on? I was shaking and I'm thinking, well, I can stand up and sing in front of 500 people and no problem. But yeah, I was just so nervous because I felt that I was not right to be there because there were all these successful business people, financial people, car mechanics who'd been in business for years. And it was really uncomfortable. But I think one of the sayings I live by, and that is, you know, to get comfortable, you're going to get uncomfortable. So it's not something I really naturally fell into because people look at me now and you can see me do all my stuff and walk into a room and blah, blah, blah. But it's taken a while to get really used to that. Yeah. And yeah, it's just by keep doing it over and over again. I did enjoy it, but I just had to get used to it, I think, get comfortable.
And that's quite nice to hear, actually, because I think lots of people, when they start networking, have that exact same fear of, I'm not going to know anyone. I'm going to speak to people that are better business people than I am, that imposter syndrome. And so actually knowing that you can get through it and actually enjoy networking, because for some people that kind of fear never really goes away, but that you can make the most of it and enjoy it is probably quite nice for some people to be able to.
Yeah, I think it's important because people come up to me all the time. They say, oh, sure, I'd love to do what you can do. I said, well, you can do what I can do. It's just your awareness.
Yeah.
Just, you know, a shift of your awareness. You can do anything, be anything you want to be, you know, and we'll go a bit more into that later on.
Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely. And networking for me was definitely one of the sort of starting blocks of my business. So to go out, I had this idea, set it all up, and then you need to go and find clients or people to work with, connections, associations. So do you think it is one of those really important starting places for someone who's new in business?
I think it is the most important part of business development, marketing, anything. I think everyone says it, but people buy from people. And I think you need to kind of build those relationships and you need to get known for being the expert in what you do.
Yeah.
And I think pressing the flesh of people and shaking hands and telling your story is the best way to do it. Word of mouth, right? It's just the oldest kind of thing in the book, but it's true. It works. And if I had my time again, starting out in business, I would have networked a lot sooner. If anyone takes anything from this podcast and what I'm saying, network sooner. If you're on the fence thinking, I'm not going to go to these chamber events, or I'm not going to go to these events and these networking events and these girl events, go. Yeah. Just go. You know, you don't have to be great to start. Just start to be great. Get going.
And you can always take someone with you. I found that quite a comfort as I would go along with someone. So a fellow kind of business owner who is maybe just starting out, or a client, or even someone in the team here, and be like, right, come along with me. Because at least then I've not got to walk into a room where I know nobody.
True.
I've got someone with me, a little bit of a safety blanket, I guess. So there's ways, isn't there, of making it less scary when you're starting out with networking.
So making it less scary is always a great idea to take someone with you. I think what really helps me is if you can do your research before you go. And most of these networking organizations will give you a list of who's coming before you get there. So you can go through that list and kind of narrow down exactly who you want to speak to. And then you can make a beeline for them and start creating some questions in your head. But remember, all the time, we're not selling, right? At networking, it's always about building relationships. Find out what they like to do for hobbies, where they base, where they live, all these things. What do they like to do when they're not working? Keep it real and don't talk about trying to sell your product or service. That's the golden rule number one in networking. Don't sell anything on that first kind of meeting.
That's really good tips. And what qualities do you think make a good networker?
Listening. I think listening is the biggest one. I know I've got a very dear friend of mine who told me once, he said, Shane, those who listen make the most money. I went, oh, that's interesting. I need to listen more. He said, yes, you need to listen more. Stop talking. Let other people talk and listen. And last year he did just over 200 million. So he's doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah.
He's American, which we won't hold against him, but it was good advice. I kind of thought, actually, yeah, I need to listen more. So yeah, that's kind of my kind of biggest kind of little tip really for people is to listen more.
And what's a common mistake people make when they are trying to build connections and build their networks?
Trying to sell too hard. I see it all the time. They're going in with the business card and it's like, oh, here's my business card. If you're looking for some IT, if you're looking for some accounts, go away. No, just turn me off,
Woo me.
Yeah, woo me. It's like, buy me a drink first. At least buy me a drink first. Just don't go in dry and just go, do you want to buy some photocopier fluid? No, I don't, actually. Jog on, mate.
And I think the same applies. I know we're talking about face-to-face, but the same with things like LinkedIn, where someone connects and they're straight in with that sales pitch into your inbox.
It grinds my gears. I'll just send a little GIF. Hi.
Of yourself, your own gifts, because I've heard that you have your own suite.
Have I
of
not
gifts.
sent you one? Have I not sent you one?
I think I have heard.
Oh, right. Yeah, so I do. Yes, so I have my own gifts. And I'm proud of my gifts.
I love it. I'm here for that. Absolutely here for that.
Because it's been remarkable, right? I'm in a world where it's all about communication. And yeah, you've just got to stand out. You can be a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And when you've got all these things against you, like I have, you've got to do everything you can to stand out,
Yeah, and be memorable.
I wasn't born looking like Brad Pitt. I have to work hard, Yeah, I'm big boned, covered in meat and gravy. I've got to work extra hard than all these guys that are ripped and everything. So yeah, hence why I wear nice shirts from Martin and Budge, by the way, in Bodmin. Thank you very much. Just to kind of stand out a little bit.
You definitely do stand out, Shane.
It's not too much, is it?
No.
Okay.
So what's the most memorable or surprising connection you've made at a networking event?
I don't know if it was, does it have to be a networking event or can it be networking in general?
Networking in general.
Because that's the thing. My life goes in and out of events and networking in general. So I think the most memorable one has got to be as I start merging into the kind of celebrity world as well. Because meeting a chap called Lewis Nichols, who is from Penzance, and he contacted me about 15 years ago asking if he could do some presenting for me. He wanted to do celeb interviews, but he didn't have a production company to produce them. So he was looking at what I was doing with the Cornwall channel and said, look, can we work together? And he said, I've got no budget and all the normal stuff that people say in Cornwall. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I love working for nothing. Come on up, And but by meeting Lewis and establishing that connection, and this is the thing, I'm always criticized for it because I don't always, very rarely focus on the money. I'm always about the relationships first and hope that the money and trust the money comes later. But meeting Lewis then opened a few doors where he introduced me to one of the chasers on the chase, a guy called Sean Wallace. And by meeting him, we've done some amazing stuff together already and built up a really good friendship. And the thing is, once you get into that kind of trust and that relationship with said celebrity world, they start recommending you. And that is such a powerful thing. So I didn't think for a minute that, by going to my local kind of networking events and building my confidence, keep showing up, because you've got to be keep showing up,
Yeah.
that, the paths would cross, my communication skills would get better. I start talking to Lewis, being open to opportunities, because I think a lot of people might miss them because there's no money right there straight away. So I look at it as a bit of a marketing spend, a loss leader, a bit of PR or something like that. And then, so from there, it's built really good friendships. And now on the back of like Sean, we've got the other chasers coming down. Then his network of friends that's in the sporting world are coming down. And it's really surprising, from this young guy back then, not anymore, 43, from Penwithwick. It's not bad,
No.
from the ghetto,
The Cornish ghetto. And I think it goes back to, even when you're building your business and you're talking to sort of smaller clients or pieces of work that, they might not fit in with that ideal that you've got, but you never know what might come of that. And it is about building connections. And I know when I started, you're happy to work for anybody. You don't really understand maybe where your niche is or know which bits of it you enjoy. But as you say, you don't know what's going to come out of those connections and out of those pieces of work, or who they know or who they might refer you on to.
Absolutely.
Following that.
Absolutely.
So can you share a success story where a referral you made impacted somebody else's business?
Absolutely. One's really fresh in my head right now. So like yourself, I support a lot of charities in Cornwall, one of which is the Cornwall Air Ambulance. And I regularly catch up with them just to see how they're doing, see how I can help with my kind of business structure with them. And this one particular time, I was having a meet with their CEO, Tim Bunting, and they were telling me at the time that they were looking for a new hangar door to go out in the helipad sort of thing. And this is a specialist thing, right? This is like not something you would just normally go out and find down B&Q. This is proper specialist stuff. And I was then working with a local company here in Cornwall called A&P Southern Doors, who could supply that door, but they didn't know of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I just did the introduction, as simple as that, no commission, by the way. It was totally a, meaningful introduction. But it was that simple. Mm-hmm. And that was really big business for not only the door company, but for the air ambulance, because they kept it local. They felt that they was keeping that economy going for us down here. It kind of keep the locals in employment as well. But the knock-on effect of that is that there's other hangar doors around Cornwall and Devon that they were then able to make introductions to other companies. So the work's actually spiraled on. So, and that was a substantial contract as well. So, yeah.
That's a great example. And you've touched quite a lot on how you build your connections. So once you've got a base and you've got a referral network, how do you nurture that to make sure that you're keeping in touch with people and checking in with people?
Right. Now, the first thing is this. Shane Solomon is not perfect. And one thing I'm not perfect, there's lots of things I'm not perfect at, but one of the things is the follow-up. I'll be totally honest, because I know that the fortune is in the follow-up, and nurturing relationships is always at the touch points, but I'm not that good at it because I'm a bit of a, I'm everywhere. My admin skills are terrible. I need a good CRM is what I need. And people have showed me them in the past and said, Shane, this is what you need. But I still need to put it into it. And I'm like, this is my worst nightmare. So my follow-up technique, you'll laugh at this, is pretty much my photo gallery.
Okay.
So all I tend to do is once a month is I'll go back through my photo gallery and I think, I met that person. I had a selfie with that person. That's a great little tip, by the way. Get selfies with everyone you meet where possible, just to remind yourself. I do that a lot for LinkedIn. If I've just connected with someone, I say, can we just have a quick selfie just to remind ourselves where we met and all that sort of thing. So that's what I do because it is so important. And I've missed opportunity. I have missed an absolute clanger recently because I didn't get back to the people. They were ready to buy. They're like, we love what you do. And and in the end, they said, look, we've had to find something else. I'm like, no.
So we've spoken around face-to-face networking and people buy from people, and we hear that a lot. But in a digital age, when people are working remotely, they're not in the office, they're maybe not able to attend events. How important is it to also build networks online?
It's essential. I think hybrid is the way forward. I don't think you're ever going to replace face-to-face. I think there's something about it that just builds trust, confidence, And just as human beings, I think we need that interaction, and as you get to know someone, you get that nice little hug with somebody. Oh, I haven't seen for ages, and it's just that release of endorphins. It's just lovely. It's just
Mhm.
nice. You just need that, but it's complemented by all these wonderful things like we have, like LinkedIn, email, WhatsApp, all these things. I think for me, I'm a big believer in focusing on one that serves you well, one that you like the most of,
Mhm.
and not try to do them all. Certainly, when it comes to like social media messaging and things like that. So I tend to pick the one that works for me. In my case, it's Facebook. So I'm still old school, but it's where my audience mainly is. And LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So I don't try and do TikTok really well. I'm on there, but I just really focus and complement the real life with the kind of digital life as well, because it's just so important.
And I think if you are building a digital profile, and we were talking about this on another podcast about that brand and people being able to then find you all over the place,
Mm.
which allows you then to have customers that are outside of your region, overseas, and just connect with people and have those touch points outside of maybe the town you're in or the
Hmm.
networking events that you're able to attend.
Mm.
But I guess, as you say, same with face to face is not being salesy on those platforms either.
Yeah, do you know what I think? My biggest thing, again, if I have my time again, my time's not finished, but I think the biggest mistake I made was focusing too much on my own brand. So in this case, Cornwall Channel, where it was really Shane Solomon I should have been focusing on. Same with the team that works with me. Jay has his own brand on LinkedIn, and it's important that we all have that as individuals. Yes, we're part of our companies and things we do, but I think I was too focused on building, the brand of the Cornwall Channel that I kind of forgot to brand myself.
Yeah.
So that the other kind of areas, I was only known as Cornwall Channel. People could only find me on Cornwall Channel on most platforms. Shane Solomon, yes, on Facebook, but Instagram was just Cornwall Channel. TikTok was Cornwall Channel. It was never Shane Solomon. But the thing is, things can change. They do change. Cornwall Channel is kind of merged into what we're now doing in London, Jay and I, and that brand doesn't fit up there very well. So I use the Shane Solomon brand as a person first and foremost, and then I associate them with the other brands that either I own or associate with.
Yeah. And we've spoken a lot actually about personal branding, and how it allows you then to step away from your business and almost make yourself a bit redundant and other people to take it forward, because
Absolutely.
otherwise you build a business that's so focused on you as a person that the
Mm.
minute you're not involved in it or you're not meeting clients or sort of going out and doing that networking, people forget the brand. So you've got to balance the two, haven't you? You've got personal branding and business branding, and they should remain separate.
100%. For example, Jay, he's producing the podcast for you today, and he's fully capable of doing this completely, better than me now. So it's like that's the thing where people back in the day would say, "Oh, Shane, we'd rather you do it." Actually, no, trust, belief. Jay's really, really good. He's been with us over a couple of years now, and it's just absolutely crushing the quality of everything. I think you agree. I think your podcast looks really good, amazing. So yeah, and it's important that
Mhm.
people have their own brand and stuff because, you know, I'm not always going to be here forever. I do plan on being on a beach in Barbados at some stage, and Jay could possibly pick up the reins. So yeah, very important.
Something that we've been talking quite a lot about on the podcast and just with clients and connections in general is AI and how that's going to feature moving forward in making shortcuts and productivity gains within work, but also how actually auto replies to connection requests, calendar planning, all of those things that actually might remove some of that person to person approach. How do you feel that that's going to change the landscape?
If I'm being totally honest, I don't know, and it kind of scares me in a way. And I'm a guy that embraces tech, and I love using tech all the time. We use it every single day. I don't know is the honest answer. I feel, and I've used AI. We use AI in production to assist us. It certainly doesn't replace it. You can't just right now say, "Oh, all the editing can be done by AI," and it'd be totally fine. Um, it's a real tricky one for me because I love popping into someone's inbox and doing my little video message and saying, "Hi, thank you so much for the connection request. It was lovely to meet you down at the Alverton Manor the other day. It was nice to see you also like drinking Jack Daniels. Perhaps we can have another one again sometime soon." And just sending that. Now, AI cannot do that. I don't think it can, but maybe it can one day. But Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is the honest answer, and I don't like it. I don't like to rely on it. I think it's great to be used alongside of things. If it can tidy something up, for example, if we was recording this and all of a sudden there was a massive kind of uh, squeak in it, and AI could remove that, great. That's handy. Because otherwise we'd never got rid of it. Um, but I think it's got to be the focus has got to be on the human touch still. Um, with just leaning on a bit of AI to kind of to help reduce a it's like from what I'm trying to say is like I hate writing things. I can speak, but to write something or do an email, I'm terrible at it. So if I can use email or AI email to help me with a bit of that, and I can just say the basics and that kind of pads it out to make it look like I've made a bit of an effort, then that's good. But I don't know if it can ever replace all the kind of things we do. Can it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a topic that keeps coming up, and I think that, as I said, productivity gains is where it's going to add most value to business owners. But then I think in terms of those relationship building, still being able to speak to somebody, still being able to talk through a process, or like you say, get to know someone. So I feel my opinion is that business services and B2B relationships will become more advisory and actually people focused, and will remove a lot of the sort of data heavy work around it. So actually it's more important for people to build networks now than I think it ever has been, because ultimately that is the thing that the AI won't be able to replace, that tangible conversation starter, that handshake in a room, that
Yeah.
kind of coffee at the end of the day. So yeah, I think that it will be really helpful for businesses. I think there's a lot of savings to be made. As you know, we're big on productivity savings, and things like our 4-day week come from us
Mm,
being able to streamline our processes down.
mm,
However, we're putting more and more focus on the team picking up the phone to clients, being able to invite them in for meetings, us doing stuff like this now, being able to give information over in a more engaging way than
mm.
just something that's a blanket sort of old school mail merge kind of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
generated approach.
Yeah, I think diary management, booking people in for podcasts and things like that's great. I think that can be all done AI'd and thing. Recently, I was in London at Homegrown in the members club that we work from up there, and I was at the bar at the end of the day's shoot. There was a chap across the bar, and I swear. He just had this mustache. It was all twiddled up like this. It was all really posh and prim and proper. And I just, you know, leant across the arm. Excuse me, sir. I just have to say, your mustache is just like off the charts. Fantastic. Looking sharp. And he was like, well, thank you very much. He's I like your shirt. And bang, that was, we started talking, bought each other a drink. Next time we're going up, we're going to be producing his podcast.
Mad.
You know,
Yeah.
now could AI be programmed? Yeah, say, oh, nice mustache. What's going to, I don't know. Is that what I don't know. But it's that kind of observation and real feelings. And I
Yeah. The
think,
power of a
yeah,
connection.
and who knows where it's going to go. But I think used correctly, like where you see it being able to speed up processes that don't really need a personal touch. It's just a boring job, so that you can give some more interesting jobs to real humans to do. I think would be good.
And you've spoken a little bit around how your networking has taken you out of county, but do you think that Cornwall's networking landscape is unique in any way?
100% unique. I'm very proud to be part of the landscaping network here. Um, and to be business here is also equally rewarding. I think when I'm in London, people say, "Oh, you're so far away in Cornwall." I said, "Well, not really. It's 50 minutes on a plane. Gatwick into Newquay, you're in paradise. It's a small price to pay." But yeah, I think it's so buoyant down here. I've spoke to this with the chamber before, with your partnerships, all the different networking events that are around. That it's just so buoyant, and there's so many offshoots of all different things, and it's all complementary. That's the other thing too. I think I have no kind of um, where I'm saying, oh, this networking is better than this net. It's not. Any networking is good,
Mhm.
you know. And just get out there and do it and just enjoy it.
Yeah. And I think once you've done it a few times, you can identify the things you enjoy doing, or the groups of people that you enjoy spending time with. I don't think any connection is a bad connection in terms of
Mm.
getting to know somebody, but I think then you can kind of find a rhythm with it and really enjoy if it's sector specific, or if there's aims and outcomes of other kind of events that you want to go to that maybe, or CPDs, so you've got some professional development, so actually you're going and learning something. Different times of day, there's loads of different networking that's around, kind of early mornings, school runs, evenings. So there really is something out there, I think, for everybody, isn't there?
There is. And networking really works through your podcast too, because the last time you had your wonderful Get Fit guys on here, was it James?
Yeah, James and Dylan. Yeah,
That's right. I ended up signing up to their gym, to their monthly membership. I haven't been yet. I paid for about 3 months, 4 months, but that's not the point.
Ideal client.
I've invested. I'm a dream client for them, I'm paying the money and never go. But I did go to one session. It was great, but that was because I met them here.
Yeah.
And I've been aware of their thing online, but it was through meeting them here in person that made me react to, actually, I'm going to do something there. I'm going to do something with them.
So if we've managed between this conversation and the giggles in between to persuade people who maybe haven't branched out into networking, have felt that it's well outside their comfort zone and not something they want to do, but we've managed to persuade them maybe to take that first step, what would you say to those people if they're listening?
Just, like I said earlier on, you don't have to be great to start. You just have to start to be great. And that's in anything in life. Excuse me. And I think it's like, I can imagine jumping out of a plane. I've never done that, but it's the hardest thing is to jump. Once you've jumped, you're free falling. It's going to be fine. And everyone's in the same boat too. Remember at the beginning of the podcast, I was saying that I was so nervous. I remember shaking. My leg was absolutely shaking. But there's some networking events that you can go to that you don't have to stand up and say anything. You can just go in there and talk. And I think that's important. Just find out what the event is all about before you go. Find out the expectations, what they want from you. And if they want you to do a kind of pitch, like a 30-second pitch, if they don't, then happy days, just mingle. So I think just start to be great. You don't have to be great to start.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming in today and talking to us about the power of face-to-face connections and referrals, and for being on this episode of The F Word.
Well, what a pleasure. And thank you very much for your patience with me. You are more than kind. Thank you.
Thanks.